Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That's better. Such a beautiful night, we have to focus, because you're going to hear a really wonderful concert of music tonight. And the fact that I'm in a tuxedo in itself is something to say, because I think the last time I was in a tuxedo at the casino was 1954, when Louis and Elaine Laurillard and Jimmy Van Allen were gracious enough to invite us here to do the first Newport Jazz Festival. And 20 years ago, this summer, we did a tribute to Louis Armstrong, which was really his last hurrah. It was the last performance that Louis gave in concert. He died a year later. It was one of the most thrilling nights that we ever had at the Newport Jazz Festival. Well, now, tonight at the JVC Newport Jazz Festival, we're going to have another thrilling night, because another generation has come along to keep the music of Louis Armstrong with us. It's a historic evening, and I think it's something that you're going to remember for a long time to come. And as our host for this evening is a man who has been involved with the theater, with television, with the Broadway stage. He and his wife personify the same excellence in theater and drama that Louis Armstrong did in music. And let's welcome him here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ozzie Davis. Ozzie.
Thank you, and good evening. It was recently discovered in a New Orleans church register that Louis Armstrong was born on August 4th, 1901. But Louis claimed for most of his years to have been born on July 4th, 1900, a true child of the American century. Since jazz, the music that Louis aptly represented for 45 years as its greatest epic hero, is the centerpiece of American culture in this century, it is only fitting that we take Louis at his word and his wish and celebrate his 90th anniversary this year. Music was an important part of New Orleans' functional community life when Louis was a youngster. The younger musicians could serve interactive apprenticeships, more common in African communities. From birth, the New Orleanian participated in traditional ceremonies which were accompanied by a specific body of songs, chants, and grooves, as well as an improvisatory interreaction between dance and music. The master musicians, such as Joe Oliver, Jelly Roll Morton, Bunk Johnson, Freddie Keppard, were also schooled in various types of concert band musics and instrumental techniques derived from European-style instructions. In this musical climate, young Louis formed a formidable foundation that supported him through almost 50 years of relentless development. The joy, love, reverence that Louis had for the New Orleans of his youth was apparent whenever he spoke, and most importantly, it is etched into every note he ever played or sang. From his early youth, singing in a European-style barbershop quartet, to playing bass drum with the Waifs Home Band, to doing odd jobs around New Orleans with various bands, to improvising immaculate harmonies with the great Joe Oliver. Louis was preparing himself to be the primary representative of the New Orleans tradition, and as such, of modern American music. The way Louis both played and sang made a permanent mark upon American music. The generations of musicians who succeeded Armstrong owed him no less than their concept of form, phrasing, swing, and improvisation. Through the efforts of the great soloists and composers such as Duke Ellington, Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, and Thelonious Monk, aspects of Louis's discoveries were developed further. It is easy for us, several generations later, to take for granted the fundamentals of jazz and Armstrong's Promethean position as illuminator of them. But we should realize that Louis Armstrong's mastery of these fundamentals, which he refined over his 50 years of public performance, placed the art of jazz at the center of 20th century innovations. Certainly, such great trumpeters as Roy Eldridge, Dizzy Gillespie, Doc Cheatham, Ruby Braff, and Clark Terry never forgot either what Louis meant to all of jazz or what he meant to them personally. And what a pleasure it is to count among these wonderful players the young jazz trumpet hero of our own time who has produced this show for us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Wynton Marsallis.